Yeah, so primary data collection are basically the data that we directly collect from the source. For example, if we need some financial information of some company, like what is their revenue, where investing their money. So if we are going directly to the company management and asking them for the data, so that will be the primary data. But if we are going to get that data from some third party, maybe from social media or maybe from some of the financial analytics website like Money Control, any other Yahoo Finance, so these kinds of data are basically the secondary data. So I hope I made it clear what is the difference between primary data and secondary data. So in primary, you directly get the data from the source, whereas in secondary source of data, you get it from the third party rather than the source of the data. So interview, when you are interviewing someone, the data you are collecting, that will be a primary data, whereas the data which you get from recorded interview will be a secondary source of data for you, because you have not interviewed that person directly. Okay, so next is, yeah, so next we are going on sampling technique, and these are so broadly these are divided into two uh, parts: probability sampling and non-probability sampling. And non-probability samplings are not much we use, because those kind of data are called bias data. Okay, whereas probability sampling is the most famous one, and under probability sampling there are different kind of sampling. So the first one that we can talk about is random sampling, in which there's simple random sampling. So say in a class there are 100 students, and you need to get average height of those students. So in that case, what you are going to do, you just get in the class and pick up any 10 students without even thinking once that whom you need to pick up. So in this case, all 100 students is having equal chance of getting picked up. Okay, so these kind of collection of data is called simple random sampling, where each and every subject in the population has equal chance of getting picked up for sampling. Okay, whereas stratified sampling is something like you divide the entire population into subgroups. For example, you divide the class into two groups, you know male and female, and now from both the groups you are doing simple random sampling. That is, you are picking up, suppose you want 5 girls and 5 boys, then you are picking 5 girls from the girls group without even seeing whom you are picking, and 5 boys from the boys group in the same way. So this kind of you know sampling, we divide the population into subgroups, and then we pick up randomly from those groups. So these kind of sampling methods are called stratified sampling. Okay. So now there's shape of distribution. So this is going to be very important thing. Why? Because the time we are not able to get what kind of distribution our data is. For example, I have this set of data, and if I want to forecast anything from this data, for example, this is the sales data for 2003, 4, and partially of 2005. So if I'm going to use this data to forecast the data for sales figure for 2006, okay, then this data need to be distributed in specific way. Normally in a statistic, we assume that most data are normally distributed. We will discuss about it, what is normally distributed and what are other kind of distribution. So first, there's symmetric distribution. When we talk about symmetric distribution, what I mean here is, so I'm just going to draw a graph. So this graph is frequency, and this is going to be the value axis. For example, just say there are 10 students in a class and the maximum marks is 10. Okay, so student might have got anything from 1 to 10. Suppose 1 is got by 0 number of student, 2 got by 1 number of student, marks 3 is got by say 1 student. So these in the same way 4 mark is obtained by 3 student. So these particular things are the frequencies and these are the values, and we are going to plot it here. So for example, 1 0, there's no student who got 1. Okay, so marks 2 is obtained by 1 student. If this is 1, this is 2, so mark 1 is got by 1 student, and the mark 3 is also got by 1 student, mark 4 is got by 3 student. So in this way you can see that there is a kind of shape is going on. So this is like this kind of shape. Okay, so every distribution of data have some shape. So when we talk about symmetric data, so symmetric data looks something like this, which we also call normally distributed data, or maybe for example is a kind of symmetric data. So if we are going to divide it exactly from the bit middle, the 50% of the population is in this side and 50% of the population falls in this side. So these kind of distributions are called symmetric distribution. See this kind of data. uh, so if we divide this from here, the 50% and this 50%, having the same kind of distribution. So this is called symmetric distribution. We'll study it in more detail when we will cover normal distribution. After that, there's skewed distribution. So as I told you that this is symmetric distribution and this is kind of skewed distribution, because we can see that more data is towards the right hand side. So this is right skewed data or distribution, whereas if data is something like this, it will be left skewed data, right? This is what called left skewed, right skewed, and symmetric distribution, or this is also a shape of bell-shaped curve of distribution is called normal distribution. I will show you that what kind of distribution this particular data is, okay, within some time. So that will make you quite easy to understand what exactly distribution is. Then there's unimodal distribution, bimodal, and multimodal. So what mode? So this height basically what it represent. For example, if say there is a value 5, that is from my earlier example, say this is the marks 5. This mark 5 is got, the maximum number of students have got 5 marks in his test. So that's why there this above this 5, this the graph is at its highest. So whichever number or whichever value will have the highest frequency will be the mode. So in all these data we have one mode, one highest point. So this is unimodal. If a data something like this, so here we have bimodal. We have two modes in this distribution, and in the same way if there are more than two, then it will be multimodal. Okay, then there's J-shaped or exponential distribution. Exponential distributions look something like this. So basically on x-axis there is time and here it is frequency. So with time, the number of for example, number of customers getting into a shopping mall. So definitely, as the times to close get near, the number of people will be visiting to the mall will be lower. So this will be the exponential distribution. And finally, there is uniform or regular distribution, that is each value have equal frequency. So data distribution will look something like this, a straight line. So that will be a regular distribution. I hope the distribution part is clear to you all. If you have any doubt over here, you can ask question right now. Okay, so let's move ahead. So from here, descriptive statistics will start. The last up till last slide, it was an introduction to statistics. From here, we'll start working on the data. So measure of central tendency. What is it? Uh, Suppose if I see that average sale during a year was 70 motorcycles per month. Okay, that's what the average sale per month in a particular year. So in that case, what that mean is, or what is average is. Okay, so I told you that if I say that I will be able to sell 70 motorcycle in a month on average in a year. Okay, so it means that in year 2019, the average sale per month was 70. So what does it mean? That January to December, the number of motorcycles or bike you are selling is around 70. It may be little less than 70 or little more than 70, but it is somewhere near to 70. Okay, in some month you might be selling 60, you are selling 65, some month you will be selling, you know, 72. That's what you infer from this mean or average. In a statistic we call average mean. Okay, so this mean reflects that approximately 70 bikes was sold during the year, per month. But this mean can be very much misleading. So before this mean will be misleading, we will shift to median or maybe mode. So we'll see when we shift over there. First understand why we shift. I would like to give you an example over here that suppose there's a company, or just suppose that in Apple, there are employees getting an average salary of say 80,000 per month. Okay, and in Reliance, the average salary for the employees is 60,000. Okay, so where would you like to join? Are you going to join Apple or you are going to join Reliance? So definitely you're going to join Apple because it is giving you the probability of getting higher salary is more because the mean is higher over there. The average salary in that company is higher. But we have to see what are the things that constituting the part of that mean. For example, if I suppose that there are 100 employees in Reliance and their average salary is 60,000, it means the total amount paid to these 60 employees will be 6,000. Okay, I'm just putting 16 place of 60,000. So suppose that this 60 multiplied by the 100 employees, the total amount paid to all the employees of Reliance will be 6,000. Whereas suppose that in Apple also there are 100 employees and here they are getting 80 average salary. So here it's 8,000 or say, okay. So it's simple. To get the average, what we need to do, total amount of salary distributed divided by the number of employees. So we will get 60 and here 80. Now suppose if I am going to add one more salary over here, and that salary will be of Mukesh Ambani. Okay, so just say that this are 100 employees. I'm just going to add one more employees over here. So this will become 101. Now we can simply assume that Mukesh Ambani's salary is going to be much higher than this 60,000. Okay, so say his salaries are like 100 of crores. Okay, so now if we are going to add this one person salary, which is even more than these all 100% salary, so the average will go very high. Okay, because now this 60,000 per employees might be when we add this 100 crore to this figure divided by 101, because the total number of employees over here will be 101 after adding Mukesh Ambani. So definitely the average salary will go very high. Say it will go up to 2 lakh. Okay. And now if data says that average salary of Reliance is 2 lakh, whereas Apple is 80,000, and you will move to Reliance, this will be a misleading figure for you, because in this there is an outlier that is extremely high value in this particular data. So this extremely high value is actually distorting the actual relevance of the mean. Excluding one of this data, that is of 100 crore salary, will bring the average to 60,000, whereas adding this 100 crore and the salary and one more percent to the the number of employees will take the same average to the 2 lakh, which will be misleading. So whenever there is a outlier in the data, then mean will be misleading, and this is where median come into play. I hope it is clear that when this mean will be misleading. If any doubt you can ask me. Okay, so now moving to median. So what is median? There's a very simple way to calculate median. um, of course you can do it on Excel. I will do that, but just to understand what or how to calculate median, we need to arrange all the data in ascending or descending order. Suppose there are, I told that 10 students, so we will arrange their marks in ascending or descending order, and then exactly on the you know so say this is going to be 10 student, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So I have arranged their marks. Say first 0, the second student got 2, and then 3, then 5, 5, 7, 9, 9, and 10. So this is the marks distribution for 10 students. So what will be the median? Median will be the exactly the marks which will be exactly in the between. So say 5 from this side and 5 from this side. So in between there will be a figure that is 0.5. So if it is going to be the even number, it will be coming in decimal. If it will be odd number, suppose it is 11, then we would be directly reaching the sixth number. So whatever the marks of this sixth student, in case there was 11 student, this would be the median. But here it is 10 student, a even number, n is even. So we need to take the value at 5.5 position. So at fifth position there is 5, at sixth position there is 7. So what we need to do, we need to add 5 plus 7 divided by 2. So this will be our median. Okay, so what does it median say? Suppose 7 plus 5 12, and then so 6 is median according to this data. So what does it say? That when I will consider mark 6, it means that 50% of a student will be getting less than 6 and 50% of a student will be getting more than 6. That's what median say. So at any point the median is, it means that 50% of the population will be having the value lower than that, and 50% of the population will be having value higher than that. I hope it is clear what is median. And talking about the mode, I already told you mode is something which have highest number of frequency. So here two student got 5 and two students got 9. So there is two modes, 5 and 9. This is going to be bimodal. Suppose instead of this 9, there is one more 5. Then 5 is there 3 times. 3 students got 5 and none other number have, which appear 3 times. So 5 is going to be the mode. So up till here, everything is clear to every one of you. How can I put volume up? Is it possible? Well, that's your device problem, so you can raise your volume. Okay, so now let's work on this data before moving to measure of dispersion. So let's see mean, median and mode first. So this is the data, and what we need, just let me tell you about something about the data. So here, this is the first column is number, the second is the quantity ordered, the third is price of each unit of the product. This is a product line, that may be anything, and then there's sales. This is order date, the status, shipped, in process, whatever. And then this is quarter ID, that is, it is the first quarter of the year, second quarter of the year, third quarter of the year. And this is the month, so first month, second month, up till 12th month. And this is here, as I told you, this data contain 2003, 4 and 5 sales, but 2005 sales is partially not, I think there are only 5 months for 2005 sales. And then there's product line, there's motorcycles, classic cars and many other, and then rest of the things, phone number, address. And this is city, state, country, territory. So all these are data. And there's deal size also, small, medium, large. So basically these are data. So first we are going to get this data arranged year and month wise. So we just need to insert pivot table over here so that we can pick out those data what we need. So let's say we need, so here what we need. So this is 2003, all the 12 months, and the sales, and this number of sales. Okay, this is the amount and this is a number. So how many orders are there in January, the first month, February, that is second month, what is the sales amount and what is the number of orders. So here we get all these data. Now what we need, the first thing to do, to calculate the average number of sales, that is mean sales, and average amount of sales in a particular year. So let's calculate it over here. For 2003, if we are going to calculate the average, and as 2005 is incomplete, there are only 5 months in 2005, so we are going to use, we are not going to calculate average for 2005 here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
But the thing which you had done, we can use a subtotal function, and we can directly get the average sales and all these things. What is the need of going for pivot table here? इस आप जो ऑपरेशन कर रहे थे उसको सब टोटल फंक्शन यूज कर सकते हैं ना सर. इज इक्वल टू सब टोटल ऑफ, you can use the key and you can.
Yeah, you're talking about this data, right? That we can do it here directly, right?
Yes, we can. Yeah. Yes, you can filter the data. Sorry, you can sort the data and after that you can do subtotal function. You can directly get it with the, what's the need of going for pivot table here?
Yeah, I'm just doing
Pivot
it
table
from,
select.
yeah, I'm just doing it for, to better display the data. That's because there's no need for
Okay, sir.
pivot table, but this if I calculate somewhere in between, then
अभी
you
जो
will not be
आपने
able to.
अभी जो आप प्रोसेस करे थे वो तो अगर 2 से 3 साल का अलग से देखना है तो मुश्किल होगा. अगर हम सब टोटल एंड सॉर्टिंग ऑफ डेटा करें तो इजी से हो जाएगा ना.
Huh, exactly. That's not an issue.
There you can apply the filtering of data, and if you select that particular year, then it becomes filtering of data very easy instead of using pivot table.
Yeah, but
अगर आप
actually,
ग्राफ चाहिए, अगर आपको इसके बाद ग्राफ जरूर चाहिए तो तब आप जाके पिवट चार्ट यूज कर सकते हैं.
yeah.
यस, अगर आप जो एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं उसके वास्ते तो पिवट टेबल का जरूरत नहीं है ना सर.
Yeah, exactly. But to make it look clean and clear, that's why I'm using it over here. That's not an issue.
Okay, sir. Sorry for the disturbance.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So basically, when we talk about mean, sorry. Yeah. So when we have to calculate the mean, what we need to do, simple. We are going to put the average, and then this. So this is mean for 2003 sales, and this for 2004. This is going to be, yeah. So 2003 and 4. This is the data. So for 2003, we have mean of 2,93,081, whereas for 2004 it's 3,93,680. Okay, so we can see that there has been more sales in 2004, right? So we can say that, okay, there was more sales, and we can look into the factors, okay, that that there are, why there was so much high sales in 2014 Ford. That may be because of normal growth in the sales of the company, or maybe because there is better economic indicators in that particular year. So when we go further in the subject, we will understand that these two means are different. I mean that in 2003 and 2004, uh, can we directly say that there was more sales in 2004 in general, or it is just by a chance? So for that we need to apply hypothesis testing, where we have to compare these means. Okay, so we will read it or understand it later in the same course, where we will read about hypothesis testing, t-test, and when we have to compare more than two means, then we will talk about ANOVA over there. Okay, so that's why I just brought it over, that we can see that what is the importance of mean, and why we need, or why we always look for means of data sets and then compare it. Okay, now talking about median, so let's see, we can directly calculate median in the Excel as well. So median will be for the sale 2003 will be this, and then median for 2004 will be this. So we can see that median for,
sorry, can you repeat on the mean,
median. Okay, mean. Okay,
mean, yeah, because
okay. So when we talk about mean, it's simple average. Okay, so there are 12 months, and yeah, hello, you're not clearly audible.
The mean,
is it okay? Yeah, sure. So I was talking about mean, that mean is basically the summation of all these data for all the 12 months and divided by 12, because they're the n is 12. Okay, so if we see it, so if we are going to sum all this and then divide this figure by n, so n in this case is 12. So if we are going to divide this by number of values, there are 12 values, so we have to count it, and then we are getting mean as this.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah,
I got you, but why actually we use mean to compare
okay, okay.
two groups? Mean of 2003 and 2004.
Yeah, so I was talking about comparing. So see, when we can see here that in 2004 the average sale was higher than 2003. Okay, so we can clearly say that there was higher sale in 2004, but how much confident we are about it to say that 2004 sales was high, just because of general factor, not because of some special factor. Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
we need to compare it. Okay, for example, for 2005, is the sales going to be the same kind of growth, or maybe it will be going to diminish? Okay, so how we will going to compare this and forecast it? So for we need evidence to prove or maybe to reject that this is an extraordinary, or this increase in sale is because of some other factor, and not because of general increment. So in this case we need to compare these means, and when we will compare this means, see, two means when we have to come, we use t-test. Okay, and when we have to compare more than two means,
Okay.
so we use ANOVA. So we will study about that later in the course, but yeah, I'm just giving you an introduction that there are methods by which we compare this, and then we see through our confidence interval. We'll study about the confidence interval, what is it and how to use it, and then we will see that how much significant this mean difference is, and if it is you know significant, we will see it through the p-value, which we'll discuss it later. I don't want to make it more complicated just bringing out new terms over here, but yeah, we are going to compare it in some
Thank
way.
you. You can move forward.
Yeah,
You can.
yeah. So now talking about the median part. So as I told you that this particular 1,95,000, at this point, any sales, if you consider 50% of the sales will be below that and 50% of the sale is above that. So if there is an outlier in this particular data, which we will see, there is method to verify also that is there any outlier in the data or not. So we will see that in this session itself. So let's move ahead. And mode, as I told you, so I don't think there will be any repeating figures in this particular data, because these are in even decimals, that is fractions. Even then, let's calculate mode once. Yeah, because there is no repeating figures in this data, so we will get not available kind of symbol in Excel, because there is no repeating figures in this data. Okay, let's move ahead with discussion of dispersion. So here we will talk about the variance, standard deviation, quartile, interquartile range, and range. So, so I'm just going to pull out from here simply of sales, again in the same way, though it is not required, but to make it clear, I'm just pulling out this data. Just a second, let me use the same data over here. Okay, so if we have to talk about the variation, so what is variance and what is standard deviation? We are already aware of the mean. Okay, So if I say that for 2003, this is the mean. So if I'm going to compare this mean with each and every data of 2003 sales, okay, so there will be some distance, right? And in that distance, for example, if I have to calculate, say, okay, so just say that I need to calculate the distance between this particular data and the mean. So there is the difference of 1,29,000. So the first data or the first month sale is this much away from the mean. Okay. In the same way, we are going to compare the second month data with the mean of the year. So for this, in the similar way, we will do for all these 12 months. So what we are doing here, we are simply, subtracting mean from each month data. So we will be getting some value. Basically, this value you can say is the distance of each number or each sales amount in the every month from the year average. Okay, so when we are going to total it up, okay, so when we are going to total, or just say when we are going to calculate the average of this particular figure. So I hope it is clear to you all that what is this data and from where I got this. Okay, so when I'm going to get the average of this figure, first let us do the sum. What we will get a very minimal number. So this is equal to 0. Okay, this minus 3.
Hello,
There's
hello,
it.
Dumanta.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a question. When you are finding a standard deviation,
yeah.
it is actually can you express the SI unit? Maybe it can either be in kilograms, in centimeters, in kilometers.
I didn't
Is
get
it
you what you
possible?
was.
What I'm saying is, if if maybe the data on 2003 are in kilograms.
Yeah, so the standard deviation will be in kilograms.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so see, when we are getting the sum of it, we are getting 0. So these are actually fraction. Otherwise, if it would have been the whole number, then here would be simple 0. Okay, why? Because there are some negative number and some positive number. Okay, but if we talk, theoretically, what is standard deviation? It is the average distance of each value from its mean. Okay, so but there are some of them are going to be higher than the mean and some of them are going to be lower than the mean. So there will be some negative and some positive, and in such a way that the sum of all of them will be 0. So if we are going to divide the 0 by the number of observation, that is 12, it will end up to 0. So to get the positive number, what we are going to do, we are going to square these distance from the each distance from the mean, so that it will convert it into positive. So let's see, this raised to power 2 will give us a positive figure, and we are going to do similar for all data. So this is what we got. Okay, and when we are to sum it up and divide this sum by the number of observation, that is 12 in our case, what we are getting is this is variance. Okay, so we can directly calculate the variance from the Excel also. The variance, so this is the variance, right? So this is how we are going to calculate it. But the problem with this variance is that this is the square of the average that is the distance from the mean. So what we need to do is we need to get the square root of it. Okay, so once we will get the square root of it, what we will be getting is the standard deviation. So let's check it from the Excel. Yeah, so this is how we actually get the standard deviation. So I hope it is clear to you all that how we actually get the standard deviation and what actually it signifies. It signifies the average distance of each observation from its mean in very simple and in one line. Okay, let's move ahead now. If there's any question you can ask me. So we are clear with variance and standard deviation. Variance and standard deviation shows the same thing, that is how much distributed or how much far away the data is from its mean. Now talking about the quartile, we can actually directly calculate the quartile of these data. Uh, so this is going to be the array, and if we want second quartile, first quartile, we can put it over here. So what this quartile actually signifies, that's I'm going to discuss that. Okay, so as I told you that if this is going to be the data distribution, which is going to be look like something like this. So if we are going to divide this data exactly from the between, the middle part, so this will be a median, as we have already discussed. Okay, so 50% of data will be on the left hand side of this median, and 50% of the data will be right hand side of this data, this particular line median. Okay, so what median is doing, median is dividing whole data into two parts. Whereas quarter, we will divide whole data into four parts. Let's divide it. So just say that one part here and one part here. So now in total there is four part: 1, 2, 3, 4. So all these actually will be having the same number of observation. So here it is Q1, this line is Q1, this line will be Q2, that is quartile 2. So quartile 2 we call median. Okay, so you generally don't see anywhere use of Q2 or quartile 2, because it is called median. And then there's Q3, quartile 3. So it means that we are going to get this value, the data which is exactly placed here, what the value of this particular. So suppose there are data set, data points, and we need to calculate Q1. So what we need to do, we need to divide this by 4. So we will get 3. So at the third position, in the same way like we used to first arrange the data in either ascending or descending order, and then we try to find out the position. So at the third position, whatever value will be there, that will be Q1. And at ninth position, because third quarter will be the 9, so it will be 12 by 3 divided by multiplied by 3. So here we are going to get the 9. So at ninth position, whatever the value will be here corresponding to that particular position will be a Q3. So at Q1 we have 25% data to the left and 75% data to the right. At median, 50% of data to the left and 50% of data to the right. At Q3 we will be having 75% of the data in the left and 25% of the data in the right. So I hope it is clear that what is quartile. Then
Sorry, Edumanta, can you repeat about quartile? It is confusing.
Okay, so see, when I talk about data, for example, here there are so many data points in this, like there are more than 2000 data points. Okay, so if I have to divide this 2000 data points and find a point at which point there will be equal number of data, that is 1000 data to this, we have calculated the median for this. This is the median for 2003. So what does this median say? That if we are going to look into this figure, exactly 50% of data is going to be below this, and 50% of the data is going to be above this median point. That's what basically median means. So in the same way, when we talk about quartile, so as we know that a median divides the data into two parts, being 50% in one side and 50% other side. If we divide entire data in four parts, so just say after median, we are going to draw two more lines over here and divide the data into 1, 2, 3, and 4 parts. So this is going to be the median, which will divide the data into two parts, 50% on the left and 50% of the right. This is going to be Q1 and this is going to be Q3, quartile 3. So what does it mean? That this particular portion of the data set will be having 25% of the data. This will be having another 25%. This will be having another 25% of the data, and this is going to have another 25%. So basically, quartile divides whole data into four equal parts. I hope
Okay.
it is clear.
Yeah, it is clear. It is clear.
Okay, okay. And then finally there is range. So range is very simple thing. You just need to get the maximum value in the data set. So in this case, the max is going to be for year 2003 is this, and minimum value in the data set, this is going to be this. So difference between the maximum and the minimum will be the range. So this is the range of this particular 2003 data set. What it means that all the data will fall under these two boundaries, the maximum and the minimum, and this will be the distance of that particular data set. So this is what called range. I hope up till here it is clear. So as I already told you that for qualitative we didn't discuss it in detail, but for qualitative, because those are mostly not numbers, so we use median. And so for qualitative data, we are going to use median and mode as measure of central tendency, and for dispersion we are going to use interquartile range. Whereas for quantitative data, if there is no outlier in that data, then we are going to use mean as central tendency and standard deviation as a measure of dispersion. If there is an outlier in the quantitative data, we cannot use mean because that will be misleading. In that case, we are going to use median, and for dispersion, we are going to use interquartile range. So now this box and whisker plot we are going to discuss tomorrow, but this is how we are going to get the outlier. We will discuss this box and whisker plot tomorrow, and there we will understand that how to see that there lies the outlier in the data set. And after that we will further discuss probability tomorrow. So let's end the class over here for today and meet you tomorrow on Sunday at the same time. If there's any confusion,
yeah. Sir, can we ask doubts now?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, my first doubt is, when there are so many database softwares, why you chose Excel to explain all these things?
Excel is basically the most simplest of all, right? And here I am not using, here I'm not teaching any tool like Excel, R, or Python. I'm teaching a statistics.
So all the statistical functions which you had performed, like mean variance, all these things, you had chosen Excel, isn't it? But why not database software?
Yeah, that is possible. But again, I'm telling you that we are not teaching here, any tools. Here we are not also teaching Excel. This is a course for statistics. So the focus is on the concept rather than any tool.
That's what I'm saying, sir. All the database functions, all the statistical functions which you had performed now, those can be done through a database software.
Yeah, but most of the people are not very much acquainted with the other software,
Okay.
right?
So in spite of queries, you have you choose. Sir, another doubt, sir. Is it good to do statistical? Is it good to perform statistical functions either through database software or through a spreadsheet?
See, if you are going to use Python or maybe R, that is, of course, it's depend on the kind of analysis. If you need to do,
Sir, I want to know the speed, sir. Not that thing. I want to know the speed. Like the client always asks for speed processing of data.
yeah.
Whether
So
it is
see,
good to do statistical functions through a spreadsheet software like Excel or through a database.
see, if there's data points, say up to 4,000, 5,000, Excel is good to run. But if the
Okay.
size of data points are increasing, like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, then these R is the fastest, and maybe Python can also be used because that is right now is the most complex and most fast language to do analysis. Okay, any more doubt over there? Okay, so now we are ending the session over here, and we'll see you all tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you and good night, sir.
yeah, good night everyone. Thank you.